The legend of Kham Chanod. There is a place in Thailand that people believe to be the gateway between the human world and the underworld. A small forest floating in the middle of water. A forest whose surrounding moat never dries, no matter how fierce the drought. Whenever the wind blows, the charnod leaves rub against each other, making a sound like someone breathing. Those who believe call it Kham Chanod, but those who have seen what lies within dare not even say the name after dark, because sometimes the sound that rises from beneath the sacred well doesn't come from the wind, but from something that never left. Kham Chanod, the sacred forest between worlds. Kham Chanod, or Wang Nakin Kham Chanod, lies in Ban Kham Chanod, Ban Muang Subdistrict, Bandung District, Udon Thani Province. It is a small island forest surrounded by water that has never dried, covered in strange trees called Chanod palms, a species between palm and sugar palm, and no one has ever seen the water around it disappear. Locals believe that beneath those waters lies the gate to the Naga realm, the underwater kingdom of the serpent gods. It is said that this forest is the dwelling of Phaya Si Sutho Nakarat and Lady Si Pathumma Nakee, the serpent king and his consort, guardians of the underworld, with the power to connect both the human and Naga realms. According to legend, Phaya Si Sutho once made a pact with Lord Indra that he would never harm humans again, and in return, he was granted this land to build his underwater palace, Wang Nakin. Since then, this sacred grove became a place between two worlds. Many visitors say that as soon as they set foot upon the island, they can feel something, a presence that watches and whispers. The name Kham Chanod comes from Kham, meaning gold, and Chanod, the sacred palm tree. Together, it means the golden forest of sacred palms, or, as locals say, the holy forest of the serpent gods. And this is the true story of a man who came seeking a blessing, but received a bond that would last beyond death. A journey born of faith. Ton, are you sure about this? Boy's voice crackled through the phone amid the noise of Bangkok traffic. Of course. My girlfriend wants to go ask the Naga for a blessing. I've lost my job 3 times this year already. Ton sighed, staring at the black serpent tattoo coiled around his wrist. A tattoo the artist had told him felt alive the moment it was finished. You know, people say the Naga doesn't always grant wishes. Sometimes it takes people with it. Tom laughed. That's just superstition. You're such a coward. The line went silent for a moment. Then Boy whispered, if anything strange happens, don't speak. Don't answer it. Ton didn't take it seriously. He and his girlfriend, Nuch, had already planned their trip to Kham Chanod, following the advice of a medium she trusted. Nuch believed that if they prayed with pure hearts to Phaya Si Sutho, their luck would turn around. To Ton, it was just another trip with a bit of spiritual tourism. He had no idea that this journey would change him forever. The forest that never dries. The rustling of the Chanod leaves sounded like whispers. Ton stood at the entrance of Wang Nakin, gripping his GPORO tightly. Wow, it's like stepping into another world, Nuch whispered, wide-eyed. Though the midday sun was scorching, a cool wind brushed against the back of Ton's neck. He turned. No one was there. He lifted his camera and filmed the towering palms, their leaves shifting like the scales of a sleeping serpent. The wind carried a sound like breathing, slow, deep, ancient. "Don't film too much," Nuch warned. "They say it's disrespectful." Tun chuckled. "Relax. I've set the camera to auto-record. Maybe we'll catch something cool for my YouTube channel." He didn't notice the dark figure crawling behind the trees, its limbs bent backward, moving like a shadow without a body. The sacred well. At the heart of Kham Chanod stood a sacred well, its water so clear it reflected the sky. Visitors queued to scoop and sprinkle the holy water over themselves. When Ton's turn came, he leaned over the edge. His reflection stared back at him, but it didn't move when he did. "Huh?" He tilted his head. The reflection stayed still, and its lips began to move. He leaned closer. From the depths came a faint voice, a whisper. "You've arrived." Ton flinched and stepped back. "What's wrong?" Nuch asked. "Nothing. Thought I heard something." "Probably just the water," she smiled. "You're overthinking." But Ton couldn't shake the feeling, knowing that something beneath the well was watching him and breathing. The first night. That night, they stayed in a small resort about 5 kilometers away. The wind rattled the doors. Nuch fell asleep quickly, but Tun lay awake, replaying his footage. In one frame, just behind him at the sacred well, something appeared. A massive, dark serpent, its form coiled in shadow, glided above the water for a split second before disappearing. He replayed it over and over, but the figure seemed to fade more each time, as if something didn't want to be seen. Then, a whisper from outside the window. "Come down. Below." Tun froze. He turned to Nuch, still asleep. He crept toward the curtain and pulled it aside. Outside, by the koi pond, stood a man-shaped shadow. It looked up, and in the moonlight, Tun saw his own face staring back, pale, red-eyed, smiling. He stumbled back, and when he looked again, it was gone. The voice without a body. The next morning, Ton said nothing, but when he checked his GoPro again, the night's footage was gone, all except for one audio clip. It was the sound of soft breathing, followed by a whisper. "Do not leave. You are mine now." His hands trembled. Nuch urged him to visit the shrine again. A local medium, an elderly woman, approached him. Without a word, she stared into his eyes. "You shouldn't have mocked them," she said quietly. "Did you go near the well last night?" "No," he replied quickly. "I was in my room." The woman's body stiffened and her voice deepened. A man's voice, ancient and heavy. "You made the vow. You just don't remember." Then she collapsed. The change. From that day, Ton's dreams turned strange. Every night he walked through an underwater tunnel, voices whispering all around him. A giant serpent brushed past his body, and a deep voice echoed, "If you accept me, I will give you everything." The next morning, Nuch found him sitting on the balcony, staring toward Kham Chanod. "Are you okay?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "I talked to someone last night." "Who?" "He said he'd make me rich if I became his." She laughed. "Then let's hope you win the lottery." But Ton didn't laugh back. In the sunlight, his eyes glinted faintly green. The encounter. On their final day, Nuch went to make one last offering. Ton wandered off toward the sacred well, alone. An old man sat nearby, smiling knowingly. "You've heard it, haven't you?" "Heard what?" Ton asked. "The voice of this place. It likes the defiant ones, the curious. I just want to know the truth." The old man chuckled. "The truth is down there, but those who find it never come back." Ton said nothing. He stepped closer and looked into the water again. This time, the reflection smiled back. The disappearance. Nuch couldn't find Ton anywhere afterward. Witnesses said they'd seen him walking toward the forest, but no one saw him return. Rescuers searched for 3 days. All they found was a single shoe, lying beside the sacred well. That night, villagers claimed they saw a massive serpent moving beneath the water. The return. 3 days later, Ton walked back into the resort on his own, as if nothing had happened. But his skin was deathly pale. His eyes were bloodshot, and when Nuch hugged him in tears, he whispered, "I was down there for a little while." "Down where?" "Below, in the well. He showed me wonderful things." "Ton, what are you saying?" "He looked out the window. He taught me to hear him. I can hear him all the time now." He said nothing else on the way back to Bangkok. The transformation. Back home, Ton became a different person. He slept during the day, stayed up at night, and left the water running in the bathroom, always. Sometimes he'd stare at the mirror and whisper, "Yes, I remember now. I belong to you." Nuch grew terrified. A psychiatrist said it was stress-induced psychosis. But one night, she woke to find Ton sitting at the edge of the bed, head bowed. "Ton, what are you doing?" He slowly lifted his face, and his eyes glowed green. He says, "You have to come too." The next morning, Nuch was found drowned in their bathtub. The water wasn't overflowing. Security footage showed Ton standing motionless outside the door all night. But when police arrived, he was gone. Inside the bathtub, there were faint green scale patterns left on the porcelain. The final footage. 2 weeks later, Boy received a package from Udon Thani. Inside was Ton's GoPro. Only one file remained, a 2-minute video. The footage showed the sacred well at night. Ton stood at its edge, whispering, "I accept. Take me." The water burst upward. The camera fell. A green-scaled hand rose from the depths and pulled him under. The last sound on the recording, a soft, cold laugh. Soon, others will follow. The twist. 6 months later, a new online documentary appeared, Chasing the Naga. Its host, Ton, alive, smiling. He took a new crew back to Kham Chanod, and during the interview said to the camera, "I vanished here once, but the Naga showed mercy. He sent me back to tell the world the truth." The camera zoomed in on his face. Inside his pupils, a tiny green serpent slithered slowly, coiling in his eyes. That night, viewers who watched the video reported something strange, a faint whisper from the bathroom drain. "You've arrived." This is where faith becomes a pact. and worship turns into surrender. So remember, never look into the sacred well at Kham Chanod after dark, because what looks back at you might not be a reflection